friends, this is me, Max from Prodigy. Today, let me show you my masterpiece, what I did at 3 years old. Yeah, I was that small. Yeah. Today, let me show you my picture. My picture depicts a stormy sea. Look! There's a man struggling under dazzling bolts of lightning in heavy seas. Ah! This masterpiece was created by me in 2019 at 3. And this masterpiece was created in 1850 by the prominent Russian painter Ivan Aivazovsky at 33 years old. What a coincidence! The title of his piece is called The Ninth Wave and refers to a common seaman's expression sailors believe in. They say the ninth wave is the largest, most fearsome, terrible wave sailors face in heavy seas. In this piece, Aivazovsky depicts the struggles of humanity against the wilds of nature. This scene takes place in the early morning hours with the survivors of a shipwreck clinging to debris after a storm. The rising sun under an otherwise dark and stormy sky symbolizes hope for the survivors as a bright spot of light. Well, my parents were stunned by my talent to think and draw like Aivazovsky. Yeah. At 3, I loved drawing. I drew on my piece of paper, I drew on my slippers, I drew on a sofa, I drew on a chair, and I even drew on walls. By the way, this is what cave dwellers love too. You know, they didn't have wallpaper. So when they tried to spruce up their cave home, they drew on walls like me. But there were no supermarkets to buy crayons and paints. You may wonder how on earth they could draw. So, if you want to paint like a caveman, first find different colored rocks, charcoal, animal blood, and berries. Yum. Then grind them up into a paste by melting them over a fire. When the ingredients are mixed up, add some animal fat or spit to make the paste nice and gloopy. Ta-da! Now you can start giving your cave room nice design by slapping paint onto your walls with your hands. Ow! Well, if you don't want to get mucky, use a paintbrush made out of animal hair. Or spray the paint on with a hollowed out bone. Not long ago, remarkable wall paintings were discovered in dark, damp caves. Very dark. And you know what? The first discoveries were made by children. The rock art at Altamira, Spain, was the first to be recognized as prehistoric artwork, which was discovered by a 12-year-old girl. Yes, Maria, what was the girl's name, was with her father, Marcelino Sanz de Sautuola. When she looked up at the cave's ceiling and discovered a series of large and lively bison paintings. Later in 1940, fascinating cave paintings were found in France in the Lascaux caves by teenagers, estimated to be up to 20,000 years old. The paintings consist primarily of large animals once native to the region, such as bears, bison, felons, and rhinoceros. Though faded, the stark and evocative art is a thrilling message from the distant past of humanity. They represent the earliest mindset of our ancestors, their thoughts, their skill, and their life. Take the paintings from the Shulgan-Tash cave, discovered in 1959 in the Republic of Bashkortostan by the Russian zoologist Alexander Ryumin. Before this discovery, it was assumed that the famous cave paintings in northern Spain and southern France were the only ones of their kind in the Paleolithic. The most interesting study from a Shulgan-Tash painting is a picture of a Bactrian camel. At the time the pictures were made, however, there were no camels in the area. Experts, therefore, believe that the people of the time had already covered longer distances than were thought. Today, cave paintings are discovered all over the world, in Asia, in Africa, in Australia, in South America, and in North America. Friends, let me know in the comment section down below if you know any of them in your place. See you! It's time for a quiz! In which cave did Alexander Ryumin discover pictures? A. In the Lascaux cave. B. In the Altamira cave. C. In the Shulgan-Tash cave. And the answer is C. In the Shulgan-Tash cave. In which cave did Maria and her father, Marcelino Sanz de Sautuola, discover pictures? A. In the Lascaux cave. B. In the Altamira cave. C. In the Shulgan-Tash cave. And the answer is B. In the Altamira cave. What cave is located in Spain? A. The Lascaux cave. B. The Altamira cave. C. The Shulgan-Tash cave. And the answer is B. The Altamira cave. What cave is located in the Republic of Bashkortostan? A. The Lascaux cave. B. The Altamira cave. C. The Shulgan-Tash cave. And the answer is the Shulgan-Tash cave. What cave is located in France? A. The Lascaux cave. B. The Altamira cave. C. The Shulgan-Tash cave. And the answer is A. The Lascaux cave. What is this painting called? A. The 8th cave. B. The 9th wave. C. The shipwreck. And the answer is B. The 9th wave.